Hey everyone! I'm Albert Boris. And guess what? Just recently, we finally passed the milestone of 10,000 subscribers on the channel. And man, I honestly still can't believe it. 6 years ago, when I first started this channel, I never would have expected it would actually get this far, but well, here we are. And I couldn't be more thankful enough to all of you.
Man, we've come a long way. Us too, haven't we?
Who's we? But yeah. And so, to celebrate it, I thought it would finally be time to talk about something I've wanted to do for a very, very long time. Super Mario Odyssey is one of, if not my favorite game of all time. Either that or Quest for Glory 2. I've played it through at least 5 times, with over 200 hours on it, and while nothing ever tops the first playthrough, after time and time again, nothing gets me in a better mood than to just come back to this gem. I love 3D Mario, and Super Mario Odyssey in particular perfected the non-linear platforming genre, with its vast large worlds to explore, hundreds upon hundreds of collectible power moons, as well as the super vibrant world building and soundtrack. In fact, this is one of the few games I might actually consider to be almost completely perfect. That doesn't mean every level is good, but there's absolutely nothing outright offensive at all, and even the weaker levels, while bad kingdoms, serve their purpose and don't drag the game down. Which is why today, we're finally ranking all the kingdoms in Super Mario Odyssey, from worst to best. Although before we start, make sure to like and subscribe if you're new to the channel and enjoy my videos, as it would really help me out and incentive me to make more videos more often. Anyways, with all of that being said though, I say let's get started now. Coming in at last place, we have the dark side of the moon, and the name does not lie, this truly is the game's dark side. I should clarify that the bottom 3 kingdoms on the list are the only ones that I think are bad, and unfortunately this one got the worst end of the stick. It's one of the game's bonus worlds and includes everything from refighting the Brutals, but in low gravity, harder versions of previous secret areas, usually without Cappy, as well as hint art for you to decipher. See, the problem with the dark side isn't that it's not fun, because all of these are definitely enjoyable missions in their own right. Which kinda speaks for how great Super Mario Odyssey is, that even the worst kingdom is playable. But when everything about it is just reused content, there's nothing to be excited about. It's just a somewhat frustrating hard mode for the game, with no identity of its own, and considering how creative some of this game's other kingdoms got, it leaves a bit of a stain on the selection. If anything, they should have just made this an extension of the Moon Kingdom that you unlock after beating the game. Also, Breakdown Road actually makes me want to break down. But yeah, while this bonus world can be fun, as a kingdom, it's kinda bad. D tier. Next, the Ruined Kingdom would probably win the award for most wasted Mario level of all time. Because when you first get to it, it looks so cool, unlike anything else in the game, with a dark, broody fantasy aesthetic. But no, it's just a boss arena for the Lord of Lightning. And he's, well, I mean, I guess he looks cool, but the gameplay is pretty standard. You just avoid these electrical spinning things, and then take out the pins from his head for some reason. But other than this, there's just nothing to this kingdom. All you have is this tiny starting area with one easily found secret, as well as the arena itself. That's it. And while it's cool that you can talk to the dragon after defeating him, and how he even breaks the fourth wall, it's just that, one detail. Even the bonus areas aren't really anything special here. But, you know, I'll give this one a slot above the dark side because at least it does have an identity. A ridiculously wasted one, but an identity nevertheless. Still very mediocre though. Lastly, the Cloud Kingdom is down here for largely the same reasons as the Root Kingdom. Its only purpose is to be a boss arena, and in this case it's for fighting Bowser for the first time, halfway through the game. Again, just an okay battle, no strong feelings, even if it's also hilarious that you have to punch him in the balls. Seriously, I can only imagine the pain he's in. But even if the Cloud Kingdom also has one less power moon in total than the Ruined one, at least it feels bigger, because if you looked around, you could still find plenty of platforming sections outside the arena, giving it slightly more gameplay variety than the Ruined Kingdom. And although the theme is boring as balls, at least it doesn't set me up for disappointment, and is more visually consistent with the rest of this game. However, that's minor, because Ruined Kingdom still looks cool. Still, the Cloud Kingdom is just another forgettable micro kingdom, even if it also does have this super cool 2D cube section, but D tier. The Snow Kingdom is the lowest ranked of the game's real kingdoms, and for one very simple reason. It's boring. Once again, this is another level that seems really intriguing at first with the huge snowstorm going on. But then when you beat it and it goes away, you realize it was only to hide how bland it was. Literally, it's just a tiny frozen glacier. It's not bad, it's cool that you have to avoid or at least be careful with the icy water to not freeze to death, but there's just not a lot of personality in this place, which doesn't help the already small size. But to make up for it, the Snow Kingdom also has my favorite town area of the game, ironically enough. It's got a super comfortable Christmas vibe to it, the most adorable NPCs ever, as well as a Mario Kart but with bouncing. And I mean, it's kinda satisfying when you pull it off, even if I hate Iceburn Circuit. But yeah, while the town of Chiveria is clearly where all the effort went, it doesn't absolve the rest of the area being generic. And even within this section, I don't like how linear it gets for the main story. There's still some exploration off the road, but you mostly just go from room A to room B to open this door. That said, the fact that the music is lightly based off of Jib Jig in Donkey Kong Country 2 was such a cool reference when I first realized it. Seriously, it sounds surprisingly similar. But yeah, overall, the Snow Kingdom isn't bad. It has its charm, it just holds no candles at all to what's coming up next. Alright, so Bowser's Kingdom being so low on my ranking is probably gonna be one of my hottest takes in this video. But honestly, as much as I love the Japanese temple theming, with the colorful clouds and ominous music build-up, the gameplay kinda goes against what makes Super Mario Odyssey so special. Because see, the charm of this game, at least in my opinion, is the open world aspect of it. I love having huge open areas to explore at my own pace, as it makes it feel like I'm in the game personally, discovering a brand new world. But Bowser's Kingdom is just a teensy tiny bit too linear. Most of the kingdom is just traveling from temple to temple, and while it makes sense narratively to build up for the final, semi-final boss fight, it makes the kingdom kind of annoying to explore. It still has secrets to be found, but the fact that the temples themselves are so small and blend together makes it more of a hassle than anything. Plus, they're all so far away from each other, causing the whole kingdom to feel kind of disconnected. Only the final palace at the end is big and open-ended enough to be intriguing, and even then, the music gets a little too hectic here for me. Seriously, what the f are these flags on? At the very least though, the Pokio is one of my favorite captures in the game, giving you the ability to scale walls. And likewise, the Robo-Brood boss fight is easily the best one in the game. You've already fought the Broodals numerous times previously in the game, as easy as they were, so to have them all team up one last time before the final act is god-given perfection, especially since you even control a Pokio again. Overall, it's another alright kingdom, but nothing I really scream to go back to, so C tier. Realistically speaking, the darker side of the moon should probably not be as high as it is on my list, because as the final bonus kingdom, its only purpose is to be the obligatory super hard final level. That's it. But oh my goodness, is it also one of my favorite Mario levels of all time. Now, let's get one thing out of the way first. Is it hard? No, not really. Maybe it's just that I've played it so many times now, but while it's definitely trickier on average than most other levels in the game, not only do you have several sections that are a literal cakewalk, and not only is it generous with giving you hearts at every checkpoint, but the controls and mechanics are just so well refined in this game that there's not really much to stress over. However, it's still a beautiful send-off to the game, and it really does feel like a final gauntlet of trials, taking every element and gimmick you've learned of over the game, and even bringing back several music tracks from your journey. In fact, this is possibly the longest individual level in the franchise yet, taking well over 10 minutes to beat without fail. And the ending always gets me emotional, with Cappy offering his thanks to Mario for the adventure as he climbed the final skyscraper. Of course, I also cry because I'm nostalgic for this game, but yeah, I love the darker side as a level. As a kingdom though, I shouldn't be too lenient, because other kingdoms still offer way more. I only put it above the Snow and Bowser kingdoms, because unlike those two, I don't have any outright issues here. Still, it's not really a kingdom, so I'll put it at the bottom of the B tier. The Cap Kingdom is the tutorial kingdom of the game, and while it's definitely bizarre for Mario standards, it's also one of the most intriguing first impressions I could ask for in this game. There's no vibrant colors or anything, instead it's a monochrome island in a lake of fog, with hats everywhere. Hat houses, hat airships, hat people, hat towers, even the enemies bloody have hats. Apparently it's supposed to be based off of London, which I guess would explain all of the top hats, but the music makes me feel more like I'm in a Russian waltz, and it makes for such a distinctive atmosphere. So you might wonder why this kingdom is not any higher. And well, it's tiny. Not as much as these two, thank god, but you really only have this small starting area, the town, and then the tower. And while it does a lot with what it has, I'd rather just play a kingdom that has more meat on the bone. And besides, most of the exploration revolves around aimless fog hunting, which gets a bit boring. Still a good kingdom, but it's easy to see why I'd rather play other kingdoms. The Mushroom Kingdom is overrated, and I'm tired of pretending it's not. Okay, when I say overrated, I don't mean it's bad, just not as amazing as its reputation holds it up to. But yeah, this is the only post-game level to actually feel like a real kingdom, and for what it does right, it delivers. I may not have been an N64 kid growing up, but despite that, Super Mario 64 is still one of my most nostalgic games ever, thanks to playing it through the Wii's Virtual Console. And seeing as this kingdom is one huge reference to that game, they really hit all the marks. There's the classic Mario 64 costume, Yoshi on the rooftop, paintings to jump through, the backyard, the drainable moat. Heck, even the garden from Super Mario 64 DS makes a return. You can really feel the love Nintendo poured into this kingdom's world building. But when it comes to the moons themselves, stars, they're probably among the game's least interesting to collect. Because the only mission that I actually thought was genuinely great was the auto-scrolling 2D segment. Oh my, did it get difficult. But otherwise, it's pretty similar to Darkside, in that it's basically just harder versions of previous missions. I don't want to herd even more sheep this time, and I don't want to fix Mario's face this time either. But at least this kingdom is also the only way to refight this game's bosses, despite how much more boring the octopus fight is now. And then there's all the stars you get from just talking to Toadette, because you got an achievement. But there's just so many of them, and in the end, it feels more lazy and unrewarding. The kingdom itself is still good in my opinion though, because the core of Super Mario Odyssey is the open-ended exploration and charm, and at that it still excels. And again, most of the stars are still fun, even if unoriginal, so pretty good overall. The Seaside Kingdom was probably the one I was least excited to play when I first got this game. Man, how's it been 7 years already? But yeah, I mean, I don't know, it mostly just seemed like a typical beach area. And if you know my channel lore, I do not have good experiences with them. But safe to say, while it definitely had its issues, it was a pleasant surprise. Already, I think swimming as it is in this game is much more bearable than in other Mario adventures, thanks to the swim dive move. But what makes it even better is the cheap capture. Seriously, it's insane how much faster and more responsive you are with it. But does it make swimming fun though? Well, not exactly. There's not really a whole lot of interesting to see underwater, which unfortunately becomes a problem when so much of this kingdom is just that, water. And with so many moons and even worse purple coins being lazily scattered around here, it makes for a somewhat bland experience. But hey, if you don't like water, then you can just capture the Gushins to travel over it, and oh my, are they one of the most unique enemies ever. Couple in with a gorgeous sunset, and also a really unique boss fight that takes advantage of the whole kingdom as an arena, and you have a level that, while flawed, is still relaxing in its own right. Also, fun fact, the music is a remix of the Wii U Mii Maker theme. Okay, I have only one thing to say about this. How has no one pointed this out so far? Anyways, I really like this kingdom. Except for beach volleyball. Why are you so slow? Keep it up, pal! So B tier. So, one thing that I've always been kind of hyperfixated on growing up is the moon. Why? Well, that's a long answer. But basically, I just thought it looked really cool in the night sky. In fact, I even made a whole lore about it when I was 4, don't ask. But yeah, so it should come as no surprise that I really enjoyed the Moon Kingdom. It's the final main story level before the big showdown, and while it certainly took me by surprise since there already was a Bowser's Kingdom, I'm definitely not complaining. The slow, quiet ambience with church bells ringing from the distance made for such a unique atmosphere that wasn't quite epic, but still climactic in its own right. And gameplay-wise, the low gravity allows for some incredibly crazy jumps, which I love. They even brought back the frog capture, who can leap even higher now. The theming is still a bit bland technically, because even though I love the moon personally, it is kind of objectively still barren. But oh my, does the whole final boss and build-up leading up to it completely make up for it. Already, it's super cool how they were still able to give us a classic final lava level, in the form of the underground moon caverns. And the segment itself is probably one of the most epic final gauntlets in all of Mario, with the music even taking cues from previous Mario Odyssey soundtracks. The final boss itself isn't anything too special, it's just a Cloud Kingdom fight again, so more ball punching, but the following moon escape sequence while Pauline sings Break Free, now that is peak cinema. Without a doubt, my favorite ending to any Mario game. But I still have to be realistic with this ranking, and while I love most of this kingdom, it was admittedly made for story first in mind and gameplay second. So it will open up to A tier. The Lake Kingdom, while still only 7th place for me, is definitely the better of the two water levels in this game, because while on one hand, the much smaller size makes for less exploration, it also means less swimming, so pick your poison. Not only that, but the theme and world building is also much more interesting than the Seaside Kingdom, because instead of a generic, although still beautiful beach level, this time you're in a mountain lake with Greek-inspired ruins. And it's so... possibly the most beautiful Mario Odyssey kingdom of them all, besides maybe the Cascade Kingdom. The glimmering rocks and graceful music are a huge delight that immediately puts my mind in a more calming place, and the whole design of the Bubble Dome town was a super creative idea as well. And even though this is also the only real kingdom without a unique capturable enemy, instead you have capturable zippers, and unzipping platforms and hidden doorways is the most satisfying thing you can do in this game. Admittedly, a lot of my enjoyment for this kingdom also comes from nostalgia, as it's one of the earlier levels in the game. But honestly, if it weren't for the fact that this kingdom is also really small, like even for this game standards, it could have very well been even higher. Well, would you look at that, we're not even in the top 5 yet, and we've already reached the S tier of Mario Odyssey kingdoms for me. Now that's just got to be some minor miracle. In 6th place, we have the Wooded Kingdom. This one already gets a few bonus points for hosting Spewart, my favorite of the Brutals, as well as for being a forest theme. I love forests. I love the greenery, I love the wildlife that comes with it, so naturally, I was bound to grow an attachment to this level. But what really makes the Wooded Kingdom stand out is how it also combines it effortlessly with an industrial setting. As a result, this is the kingdom that probably offers the most gameplay and theme variety. It's not the biggest kingdom, but it almost feels that way, thanks to how much more packed the whole layout is. I kid you not, even when I was new to the game and had been playing it for a good 3 months or so, there were still areas I hadn't discovered yet. And that's just one of the greatest feelings ever in gaming. I also can't mention the Wooded Kingdom without talking about the Deep Wood section. I still remember how surprised I was the first time to not die when falling off this kingdom, and while it's admittedly a bit annoying at first, since if you do fall down, you can't really get back up again unless you plant these seeds, I still have to give it credit for completely changing the mood of the game, and even featuring live T-Rexes chasing you. Still, this section is what will keep this kingdom at the bottom of the S tier. The Luncheon Kingdom admittedly isn't as creative as it could have been. Like, the whole idea of a food-related kingdom has so much potential, but most of the time you're either swimming through pink goop or ascending mountains, with no indication of what foods they're supposed to be based on. But you know, there's still plenty of food elsewhere spread throughout the kingdom, and I'm a simple man, so that's enough to make me hungry. And regardless, execution usually matters more than ideas, and not only does this kingdom feel delicious, with its vibrant colors and bustling music, but it stands out in other creative ways too, by combining a lava and mountain theme. As a result, this is another one of those kingdoms that offer more varied and tight platforming, and the fact that you also spend a much longer time in this kingdom than other ones for the main story allows it to leave even more of a lasting impression, and it does its job well as a calm before storm. Caucasial, or whatever the f her name is supposed to be, is also one of the more challenging boss fights, even if she's kinda disgusting too. Why the f are you ruining the soup? Anyways, Luncheon Kingdom is an S tier, and I will hear no complaints otherwise. Ah, the Sand Kingdom. Truth be told, I don't think there is a single soul who doesn't like this one, or at least doesn't respect it. If Bowser's Kingdom was the antithesis to what this game stands for, then the Sand Kingdom is on the opposite end. It's the Super Mario Odyssey Kingdom. It's the largest one in the game, with the most moons outside of Mushroom Kingdom, and by the way, did I mention it's huge? There's almost no feeling quite as freeing as just rolling about in these dunes and just letting Mario guide you to your next destination. It's vast, it's got a beautiful red color, and the Mexican-inspired town and ruins bring even more life to what was already a fairly stunning desert. Although, if I'm being completely honest, I actually kind of prefer the Sand Kingdom when it was frozen over. I don't know, it just looked a bit more unique. And before anyone says anything, yes, deserts can be cold in real life too. It's not the temperature that decides, Cappy, it's whether it's dry or not. I guess if I had to complain about something though, that puts this kingdom at only number 4, it's that it's a little bloated and empty at times. Like there are so many stretches of just nothing, which kinda removes the challenge of finding out about new areas here. It's fairly trivial though, since the charm of this kingdom does still lie in its openness, and it doesn't detract from any fun the sub-areas do have, even if I don't personally care that deeply for the whole icy underground. Like it's cool, but I like sand, okay? I also wish that the whole night theme was a reoccurring change of the map that happened as part of a cycle, and wasn't just exclusive to the last storm mode mission, but I digress. Whatever, it's another S tier. The Metro Kingdom, in spite of its name, has not a single metro train in sight at any point. So for that clickbait alone, it's gonna get an F tier. Okay, but jokes aside, what can I really say about the Metro Kingdom that hasn't been said before? Besides that Jump Rope Genius is actually really easy and everyone's just been playing it the wrong way. Anyways, the Metro Kingdom is freaking splendid! It's easily deserving of being the game's fan favorite kingdom. The idea of putting Mario in a level that's basically just New York City, but still with its own Mario twist, is so genius, and luckily the Metro Kingdom takes full advantage of it. With all the buildings you can jump between, skyscrapers you can dive from, heck, even the small things like traffic sign blocks and taxis you can bounce from add personality to this place, to the point that it's basically impossible to get bored. And while I haven't been to New York personally, my mother has, and even she remarked how much this kingdom reminded it of her, which I think is super cool. And if that wasn't enough, the game also has the time to give this kingdom lore value as well, as being not only the canon location of the original Donkey Kong game, but it even brings us back Pauline after I don't know how many years he was missing from the franchise. And while personally I'm not as big on the new Donk City Festival as everyone else seems to be, it's still an adorable celebration of Mario's roots, and serves as the perfect midway point of the game. Imagine dying at your own festival though, couldn't be me. So why isn't this number 1? Well, honestly, it's really just that the top 2 are even better. But also because when you first enter this kingdom, the game doesn't really offer a pleasant introduction. It's all dark and rainy and infested with insects. And while I get why they made it like that, so that it becomes rewarding to have it return to normal, but it still leaves a sour first impression. Especially because Mecha Wiggler is one of the most annoying boss fights in my opinion as well. What can I say, I don't like first person shooters. But you know, Metro Kingdom is still kingly, let's leave it at that. From the moment I first stepped off the telephone wire, I knew that the Cascade Kingdom would shape up to become one of my favorite Mario levels ever. From the epic and courageous soundtrack, to the gorgeous waterfalls and lush scenery, it was the kingdom that officially made me fall in love with Super Mario Odyssey. The Cap Kingdom may be the tutorial kingdom, but I'd argue that the Cascade Kingdom is the true first level, as it introduces you to all these new gameplay mechanics in a much more dramatic and memorable way. Like when you use a chain jump to get the first ever power moon, or blow this mountainside off to discover a 2D section. I still get chills thinking about it. And that's not to mention the T-Rex you discover, which while it's mostly just a spectacle, is still a super cool capture to draw me into the game. And even though this is a smaller kingdom, it still feels decently sized unlike other ones, with plenty of secret areas and paths to find. In fact, when I think about it, I don't have any problems at all with this kingdom. On one hand, maybe I wish it could be even bigger or that the difficulty was a bit higher, but considering this kingdom is early in the game, it's not really a problem. It just makes another kingdom even better for me. So, I've talked a lot about different kingdoms in this video. There were two small ones, others were too bloated, and then there were kingdoms that either employed frustrating gimmicks or just didn't bring out the best of Odyssey's potential. And then there's the Lost Kingdom. Holy f*** did they go all out on the fields in this one. I don't even know what words could properly explain my love for it, because as soon as I stepped off the broken Odyssey here for the first time, the game just changed. Already, I'm a sucker for nature-themed levels, as I've said previously, but this one especially put such a unique spin to it in ways that still blow my mind. It's desolate and lonely, but still flourishing of life at the same time. It really does feel like an uncharted island, with its completely unique colors, the vast endless poisonous ocean, only further amplifying that feeling of solitude. In fact, the red sky and purple sea both reminded me of the Enchanted Realm in King's Quest II, another fan-favorite game I grew up playing, and all of this brings me back to a time when life was easier. Gameplay-wise, The Lost Kingdom is also one of those kingdoms that, while small, still feels like it offers enough to keep you interested. And the Poisonous Sea also adds an element of challenge that's unfortunately lacking in the Cascade Kingdom. And besides the Pokio, maybe, the Tropical Wiggler is easily my favorite capture in the game to top it off. I love the accordion sound he makes when you stretch him out, and it's just really satisfying in general to stretch him out to reach platforms. And the fact that you also can't accidentally fall off with him always encourages me to just stretch it out for the heck of it. Apparently, a lot of people don't really like the Lost Kingdom because it's kind of a hurdle that blocks you from the Metro Kingdom initially, but honestly, it was worth it every second. Nothing will ever beat the Lost Kingdom in my opinion. And so, there you have it, my full ranking of all 17 kingdoms in Super Mario Odyssey. And boy was this a joyful video to make. Even though it's been almost 8 years since I got this game now, it's always a blast to come back to it and relive my memories. And hopefully all of you enjoyed watching this ranking unfold too.
Albert? Is the moon supposed to look like that?
What are you talking about? Oh shit! Run!
3 hours later.
What the heck was that?
Yeah, so, apparently, that was the dragon moon. It must have been angry at us because it lost on our pole. We escaped it, but it appears that the flames have turned us into seagulls, which means the crocodile moon is gonna find us very tasty.
Dude, what the f are you yapping on about? I'm not a seagull. What? But what is your ranking of the kingdoms in this game? Did you agree with me or not? Like and subscribe if you had fun, and stay tuned as I make videos on everything Mario related. And follow me on my Discord server, Green Pipe City, as well as on Twitter and Patreon for more updates as well. And I'll see you all soon. Until next time.